Hey guys, today I have two things for us to get done. One is basically merging these two plants that are kind of dying. I've had them both for multiple years and I just haven't been taking care of them like they need to be. And this one gets really great light, this giant tall palm, I don't know if you can see that. And this stem ended up growing so tall that it literally pushed onto the ceiling and grew over to the side about a foot. And then I finally decided enough is enough and I chopped it off. And so I still have this one left, which is just barely skimming the ceiling, as you can tell. And then I've got this other plant here that I've had for years as well, which is very similar in that it's got big, leafy, kind of palmy look. The stem is a very similar texture. And I put it in a room that basically got no light, and it's basically been slowly dying. And so I thought, if I can't manage to maintain both of them, why don't I merge them into one pot and see if I can put it in a really great spot with good light in the house and hopefully revive the one that's kind of dying off and keep the other one in a good, happy, functioning spot. So today I want to repot these, and then second, I want to teach you guys how to make plant hangers for your indoor plants. So if you remember my previous video where I walked around and showed you guys my houseplants, I probably showed you guys these ones, these two right here, and I have a couple else throughout the house. I love plants on hangers. I just love having them not on my surfaces so they don't damage, your nice tables, anything wood, your windowsills. And so a lot of times I do put my plants on hangers. Basically every room in my house has plants on hangers. And so these two behind me I made with t-shirt yarn. Hemp is a little bit, it's more rigid, so it doesn't lose its structure as much versus these t-shirt yarn hangers. The t-shirt yarn stretches when you add weight to it, so the heavier your pot with the dirt in it, the more it will pull down and stretch. So, which is fine if you don't really care the exact length, but if you want it to be a specific height from the ceiling, you do need to pay attention to the height that and the length that you're measuring these out to. So just something to keep in mind, the, kind of sturdiness and stretchability of the yarn. So that is what we're gonna be working on in the second part of this video. But first I wanna get this plant repotted. Well, not really repotted, put in the same pot, but just merged with the other one. And I'm gonna make a total mess on the floor, so try not to judge. But I'll just sweep up whatever we accidentally make a mess of here on my living room floor. So let's get started. Okay, first we need to detach these little bamboo stakes that I have kind of hanging out here. They're not really doing anything for the plant. I had them in there when the plant was really young, but obviously I haven't dealt with this plant in a long time. And this guy too, and he was really little. I think these pots are the same size, but I think we'll have to readjust this whole situation anyway. So let's just pull them out, get the root balls maybe on this tray, dump some of the soil out, set them all back in, and then we'll fill back in with soil. I figured first I could rip off all these dead leaves. These the roots look very root bound and weird. Okay, so there's definitely some weird stuff going on with these roots. Very weird stuff. But I think we should pull these as much as we can and maybe try to clean off some of these long ones. And honestly, I know to some of you this might look a little insane, but I just don't think that the plant is thriving as it is. So might as well take some risks, So let's dig out our hole, scoot over all this stuff we don't want. Okay, let's try one more time. Just want to make sure that the dirt lines are kind of at the same place that they were. Let's fill this sucker in. Okay, we are back in the living room and I want to get after making these really simple, easy plant hangers. So I know at the beginning of the video I said I was going to use some hemp or twine or jute or whatever you call it, but then I actually went back and looked at my yarn pile and I had this 100% natural cotton, and I thought that this color would actually be really pretty with this pot because it has this kind of like neutral color right at the bottom. So this is the pot we're going to use. The length is obviously going to depend on how high or low you want it to be from whatever you hang it on, the ceiling or whatnot. And then obviously the size of your pot is going to impact where your knots go. So just keep that in mind. You'll just need to be flexible when you decide to make this on your own. The first thing to do is just cut your yarn to the length that you need it. And I like to approximate that by bringing my plant over and estimating how much I want to hang above and how much I need below. So I just kind of measure out that general area, and I think this is kind of the height that I want it to be. And I'm gonna make 4 strands and cut them all to the exact same length. Get it to about the length that you want. I always like to go a little bit extra. So this is probably a pretty good length. And now this yarn is cotton, so it's not stretchy like the t-shirt yarn from my other ones. That's probably good. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first thing to do is to make all the loops line up on your finger. Making sure that the bottoms are exactly lined up isn't really essential because you can always trim them at the end. So I've got all of my yarn loops all together, and I'm going to make a loop just about maybe 2 inches, and that's where I'm going to tie a knot, and that's going to be whatever I hook it on, so my ceiling hook, whatever it is that you're attaching your plant hanger to. So this is going to be different for every single pot, keep that in mind, and the distance that you're going to hang it, but let's say it's about here. So my first set of knots is going to be right here. So we're lay out our yarn here. And I'm going to separate these by 2. Okay, so the key for this is really to try and keep your knots about the same distance around so that it looks balanced on the pot. If you look at the ones that I'm hanging up, not all the knots are in the exact same place, and that's just fine with me, but if you're really particular, then just keep that in mind. Okay, so I've got I'm gonna make my first knot, which is gonna be right here, and I'm basically just gonna loop it through. Really easy, slip it around and through. Now I'm gonna make 3 more knots just like that, all at the same spot on the rope. Okay, so this first round of knots is gonna lay kind of like right here around the edge of our pot. Our second set of knots is gonna go right in the middle. So if we hang this up against our pot, slide this back. Got all my knots here. These are gonna sit right here on the pot. So now I'm gonna come down maybe 2 inches. This is a relatively short pot, it's maybe 5 inches tall. And then I'm gonna make my connecting knots. So I'm gonna pinch this spot right here because I wanna keep all those at approximately the same location. So you're gonna lay out your knots. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you're gonna do is you're basically just going to pull 2 strings from 2 knots together. And you're gonna go down about 2 inches where we marked with our fingers. So let's say that's just about 2 inches right there. And I'm gonna do exactly what I did in the first one, which is make a loop and a knot. You're gonna repeat this all the way around until each one has a knot connecting them. That's what's gonna create your circle around your pot. And then pulling on my knot, just like that. Last one, you're gonna connect the ones at the end. Again, same placement, pull these together, find your place, loop around, and make your knot. Okay, so now, as you can see, we've created a circle around our pot. I'm gonna separate out my things here, and then I'm gonna connect them again. So I'm going to pull 2 strings together, right below that knot that was in the center. I'm gonna come down another maybe 2 inches. I'm gonna swoop together and create one more knot. I'm gonna do the exact same thing over here. Grab these 2, measure it out so it's about the same. Okay. Last 2 right here. There we go. Okay, make sure this is straight. Come about 2 more inches down, which is what I think I need. And then I'm going to loop all of the strings together at the same time. And this is what is going to create my bottom knot for my pot. I'm gonna hold it straight and then I'm gonna create my knot just like that. Okay, I'm gonna grab my pot. I'm gonna wrap my knots all around the pot and shimmy it up. Okay, and there you have it, plant hanger done. That took probably 5 minutes or less, you guys, I'm not exaggerating. And you can see we've got 1, 2, and 3 knots. And we've got that center knot sitting right in the middle. And this is gonna look so cute, hung up. Okay, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this inspires you to just go look through your pile of random scrap craft stuff and find some twine or cotton or t-shirt yarn or whatever you want to do and make yourself a plant hanger. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later.